Gobert and the Yusuf Nurkic incident because that's Stephen A's way of trying to lessen the impact of what you may say back. I'm going to throw out these negative ass things that happened with you many years ago that you've come back from, that you've moved past. I'm going to throw those things out to try to gather an audience, to try to gather a crew to be on my side, a base of people to be on my side. So I'm going to throw these things out to remind these people that may have been upset that you did that because they may not like those types of things or whatever. I'm going to remind them of that so they can be on my side when I say this. A typical Stephen A thing. He said we have not spoke since. I think that, those things happen to be right around the time where a lot of people in the industry felt like this dude took this sharp left turn.
What happened next really turned heads because both Draymond Green and Jemele Hill publicly pushed back against him, and you could tell the criticism got under his skin more than he wanted people to believe. It almost feels like whenever another prominent black voice calls him out these days, keeping his composure becomes a real challenge instead of letting the moment pass. The surprising part is that he even admitted in his own video that he was supposed to be relaxing on vacation and stepping away from all the online drama. Yet, despite saying he wanted a break, he still logged on to respond directly to Jemele Hill and Draymond Green. And in my opinion, that only made the entire situation even bigger.
Keep in mind, what is the agenda of the person telling me this? And so that's what I thought was very interesting about the Jaylen Brown discourse is why is there all of a sudden this driving narrative about how he is some kind of analytical disappointment? Like, where is that coming from? Who stands to gain from this? What is the purpose and why is this coming out? And even the idea that he got, smartest man in the room syndrome, which is a bizarre.
What's wrong with that?
Yeah, I mean, what they were really saying, what they was.
Now, let's bring the focus back to Stephen A. Smith, because Jemele Hill was actually raising a much broader issue than many people initially caught. And that's where this story takes another interesting turn. In her view, sports analysts and major media figures keep sending Jaylen Brown the same familiar message: stay silent, avoid controversy, and just stick to basketball instead of speaking out. That argument immediately poured gasoline on an already heated debate, making the entire conversation even more polarizing. Stephen A. Smith wasn't about to let those remarks go unanswered, and he wasted no time firing back at both Jemele Hill and Draymond Green with a response that only intensified the back and forth.
What you laughing about, Jemele Hill? Somebody that's not in the locker room? Are you implying that you've been in the locker room more than me in my career? Come on, where you gonna stop dancing around issues involving me and tell them what's up? You and I were pretty tight. And then after the choking incident with Rudy Gobert and the slap to Yusuf Nurkic, I upset you because I called you and said it was difficult to defend you. I'm not saying anything out of pocket or personal because this is what you said to Shaq on his podcast. So it was already public information. It's the only reason I'm revealing it. I'm not saying anything else about any of our conversations throughout the years, my brother. We've never talked since that time. But can you at least acknowledge to the people while you're talking publicly, if we're keeping it a buck, that when you went on Shaq's podcast and you said that that's the first time I knew you were upset at me? I didn't even know.
You bring up the Rudy Gobert and the Yusuf Nurkic incident because that's Stephen A's way of trying to lessen the impact of what you may say back. I'm going to throw out these negative ass things that happened with you many years ago that you've come back from, that you've moved past. I'm going to throw those things out to try to gather an audience, to try to gather a crew to be on my side, a base of people to be on my side. So I'm going to throw these things out to remind these people that may have been upset that you did that because they may not like those types of things or whatever. I'm going to remind them of that so they can be on my side when I say this. A typical Stephen A thing. You know, he said we have not spoke since. I think that, you know, those things happen to be right around the time where a lot of people in the industry felt like this dude took this sharp left turn. And all of a sudden became like this, you know, you speak on Jaylen Brown. The problem I had with Stephen A and Jaylen Brown was when you called him out like a mob boss. When you sat in front of the camera and spoke as if you saw him, you was going to do something to him. That's the problem I had when speaking about Jaylen Brown. The issue that I have, and by the way, it's not a real issue because people, again, I go back to the statement I made about Shams, which these are in two completely different capacities. But get your money how you get your money, man. Like, I'm not mad at anybody for how they get their money. That's including Stephen A. So for a guy who actually, yes, what he is right about is we were pretty tight. As was Stephen A with a lot of guys, by the way. Like, that wasn't just me. I think, and being in the media space, I think we had built even more of a relationship because he is the guy in the media space. You know, when you look at him, he is right up there at the top of the chart with Charles Barkley and, you know, for the likes of people like that. Like, you are that. I'm not some hater. I'm also a truth teller. You very much so are right up there at the top, and very appreciative throughout the years of the advice given, as someone who's continued to try to elevate and learn and work in this space. So yeah, those are all facts. Just like a lot of players having a relationship with you were facts until you started to disrespect players as if you were a player. There's a fine line. And Jemele and my conversation was about this. I mentioned Stephen A. Smith's name because Stephen A. is the one that's always speaking on being a journalist, on how his background is journalism. And by the way, no one ever doubted that. If you watch what Jemele and I were talking about, Stephen A., the problem I have is you get upset about the very thing that you do. You get so upset and bent out of shape about the very thing that you do. For instance, I had a problem with Jaylen Brown or whatever. Let's see, I want to go back to the quote. Y'all forgot the fact that I did a sit down with him face to face in Boston a year ago after he had a problem with what I said, when all I said was what other people said. Number one, say what you say. And if you're going to quote it, stand on that. All I said was what other people say. You can't always throw it to somebody else. You said it, and it's fine. By the way, regardless of what other people said, if you say it, it's yours now. If I go sample a song, every time that song come on, and I sampled Jay-Z's song, every time that song come on, they ain't gonna say, Draymond Green's song sampled.
Then Draymond Green and Jalen Rose jumped into the conversation, and you could tell Jalen Rose had reached his limit with the direction sports media has taken. He seemed especially frustrated with journalists who now host podcasts, arguing that too many of them turn every disagreement or headline into free advertising for their next episode. That was the real message behind Jalen Rose's comments as he took aim at certain voices in the media landscape. And honestly, you won't believe how many fans agreed with him, because more and more people have started noticing that exact same pattern.